and have seen him in action, and I know full well that he's going to not just enlighten you, but actually take you on a journey into issues which are going to be very pertinent and germane to your own lives vis-a-vis technology. So, without further ado, Professor Sampalli.
Thank you very much. Once again, greetings and very, very good afternoon to you all. As Mark said, we have a dovetail talk here. You heard the AI impact of AI from Dr. Parkinson's and from Dr. Anindya Dasgupta. It is the impact of banking industry. And now I'm going to show you the threats. So once again, thank you to the entire ABRM team, and thank you, Mark. You bring so much energy into this conference, and that's what keeps us going.
Yeah.
Well, folks, the theme of my talk is to tell you about the current and future state of cybersecurity and the economic impact that cyber attacks can have on industries, organizations, and even individuals. So I'll try in the next 15 minutes, I'll try to answer these questions. What are the emerging cyber threats? Number two, can we put a dollar figure or a pound figure on cyber attacks? And what does the future hold? Okay. So, do you want the good news or the bad news first? No, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so let's begin with the good news. Here is the good news. Yes, it can be done. We can all be 100% cyber attack proof. You all agree with me? Well, here's the not so good news. And I paraphrase from the words of Gene Spafford, a security expert. He says that, yes, you can all be a 100% cyber attack proof. The only thing you need to do is to shut your computer off, seal it in a block of concrete, and protect it with a lead-lined room with armed guards. Let's face it, we are living in a digitally exhausting and highly connected world. Cyber attacks have continued to defy technology and baffle people. So is it just hype? Are cyber attacks, are they actually taking place? Let me ask you this question. This is from a recent statistics. Can you guess the total number of all malicious online attacks that occurred last year? Attempted, successful, or unsuccessful? Take a guess. Anyone?
1 billion.
1 million?
Billion.
Oh, very good. That means you're very well into the cyber security world.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's very close. A report from Kaspersky's lab puts it at 758 million. Imagine that. That's 2 million attacks per day, 1,500 a minute, 22 attacks per second. By the time this talk ends, 25,000 online attacks would have taken place. And 2017 was supposed to be one of the worst years for cyber attacks. And the number of actual data breaches that took place is 1.9 billion. Can you imagine that? And of course, we are hearing new threats and new terms that have been hitherto unknown to us, like organized cybercrime training, ransomware, smishing. Does anyone know what smishing is? It's phishing with SMS. And then hacktivism, hacker activists. These are on the rise. And we have ever been perplexed by the ongoing saga of the US elections and the question of whether it was compromised by cyber in the cyber world. The faces of the individuals have been blurred to protect their identities, but I think the hair is a giveaway, isn't it? I must hasten to say that nothing has been proven yet, but it makes a very good case study from a cybersecurity viewpoint. Now I'm going to talk to you about the top 5 cybersecurity challenges that are emerging. At number 5, I put mobile technologies. Look around yourself. We are not only living in a highly connected world, but also in a world which is increasingly mobile. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, cellular, RFID, NFC, infrared, various plethora of technologies. Can you imagine going through a single day without your smartphone? I doubt it. It's become our principal computing and communications device. We have to remind ourselves, hey, you can use this also as a phone. Do you know that? There was a recent article in the IEEE Spectrum magazine. It said, growing up smartphone, it'll start as a nanny and end as a nurse. That is, imagine the number of apps that we use on our smartphone for our daily activities. But the big question is, do you know how many sensors are there in the smartphone? From accelerometer to gyroscope to light to camera, your GPS, amazing number of sensors, and they're all emitting information constantly. So the question is, how much does your smartphone know about you? It is said that your smartphone knows more about you than your spouse or your partner or your closest friend. Think about it. Does it know who you are, where you are, where you have been, who you met, what you bought, what you ate, where you bought, whether you really went to the gym, and even your mood. But the more important question is, who is it sharing this information? Have you ever wondered, while you download those third-party apps, have you ever wondered what rights you may be giving up? Do you ever read those fine print? No? If your fitness app asks access to your text messages, that doesn't seem right, does it? So the question is, what if the hacker gets into this sensor information and builds a profile of yourself? That is the threat we are looking at. At number 4, I put cloud computing. Not only are we living in a world of increasingly mobile technologies, but also one in which we are very reliant on cloud. What is cloud computing? There's a lot of hype surrounding it, but essentially it just means this. Why buy when you can rent cheap? That's all cloud computing is. Computing is becoming like a utility, like power and water. We don't own them, we just use them whenever we want. And cloud computing comes in various flavors. You can just rent hardware, which is called infrastructure as a service, or you can just rent platforms, hardware plus software, or you can just rent the whole thing, the software, the hardware, and the applications. So what is the risk with cloud computing? You can be holding your mobile device in Hong Kong. You can be running an application that's in London, and your data may be stored in Toronto. So this can cause a lot of security challenges. What about the data in storage if it gets hacked? Data in transit, client separation, user authentication, jurisdictional legal. If an attack takes place, which jurisdiction is responsible, and who is going to respond to the incident? At number 3, I put the distributed denial of service attacks. So this is a nasty attack that's becoming increasingly common these days. What is a DDoS attack? Does anyone know? Very simply this. The goal of the attacker is not to steal your information, but just to disable a server so that others cannot access it. So why do hackers do this? It could be simple pranks. It could be for political reasons, bringing down a government's web server. It could be a competitive edge. Imagine if eBay shuts down for 1 hour. How much money can the competitive company can make during that hour when eBay shut down? Or it could be for cyber extortion and so on. At number 2 is the nasty virus that is causing a lot of problems called ransomware. So this happened to be the biggest news in 2017. There were 2 major ransomwares, WannaCry and NotPetya, that infiltrated a majority of the systems. So what is ransomware? It's a virus that gets into your machine, either when you download an attachment containing it, or when you visit a nefarious website and click on a link. And very soon you'll see something like this on your computer. All your files will be encrypted. You cannot use any of your files. You cannot open any of your files. And the only way you can get your files back is to get the decryption key, for which you have to pay a ransom. And the ransom is usually demanded in the form of Bitcoin, which keeps the payee anonymous. And you know what it does? It also starts a timer there. You see this timer here? So the timer is started there. If you do not pay the ransom before the timer times down, do you know what happens? The ransom is doubled and the timer is cut in half. So this is a nasty virus that almost saw a 600% increase last year. Which brings me to the number 1 cyber threat, Internet of Things. Not only are we living in a highly mobile world, a highly connected world, but also one that is becoming increasingly smart. Look around you. You're living in a world of smart objects. very soon your pen, if not already, your pen, your watch, your eyeglasses, your TV, your refrigerator, your car, even your clothes will all be connected to the internet. They will all have IP addresses, which means this is going to cause new attack surfaces. In fact, it was recently demonstrated how an attacker could access a home security system by hacking a baby monitor. And our cars could be the next target. At a recent security conference, they actually demonstrated how remotely a Jeep can be hacked while being driven. So the hacker was able to start up the wipers, change the radio volume, but that was not the scary part. He was even able to apply the brakes on the Jeep remotely, and the driver had no control at all. So that's because that is so many computers included in our car. And imagine, an entire nation can be crippled because of an attack on critical infrastructure. Well, that is the big scenario of where we are headed. Let me take 2 minutes and answer this question. Can we put a dollar value on cyber attacks? It actually turns out to be a very challenging problem. And the reason is this. Number one, 95% of cybercrime goes unreported. If you are the CEO of Lloyds Bank of London, would you come on the media today and tell everyone, my bank has been hacked? We lost billions of records. Although it's your duty to do that, you'll first look at protective mechanisms. Otherwise, you'll lose all your customers. Number two, cryptocurrencies are the de facto standards. And cryptocurrencies are the underworld economy. They keep changing. Number three, cybercrime as a service is on the rise. Did you know they have call centers for cyber criminals? You can actually call them and tell them that you need help with this hacking software, and they will answer your question for a fee. They are more organized. We are not. And of course, many cybercrimes stay dormant.